Welcome back, guys, to Expand with Omar and co-host JP, where we talk about pretty much everything that's going on in our day-to-day real estate business, our life, what's happening, and what are some pointers to help you guys get through this transitional market that we're all in. It's been crazy the last, the last couple of weeks, the last week, even, for you as a real estate professional, JP, with a lot on your plate at 24 years old and trying to weather the storm of a changing market. Plus, you're changing as a person, and obviously, all of us are evolving in this business, regardless of what position you're in. You can just get started in the business. You can be 10 years in the business, but what worked 10 years ago isn't working now. There's a lot of things that we are all faced with, and this is just something that we're giving back to everyone on what's happening with us, and why we seem to have a different kind of boat to get through this challenging waters, uncharted waters as well. But we're doing our thing, and that's what we're going to be talking about. So thank you guys very much for joining, and make sure that you hit that subscribe button and keep watching, keep listening, and we'll be on the new podcast as well. So on Apple Podcast and all the places that they get everything. All platforms. Everything gets uploaded. So thank you again. And yeah, let's get into it. So JP, what's happening with you? What's going on? And there's a lot of things that we want to talk about today.
Yeah, what do you want to start with? I'll go right into it.
Okay, yeah, we're going to talk about the market because everyone wants to know about the market. What the hell is it going to do? What's happening? If you're a seller, are you on the fence? If you're a buyer, should you buy? If you're an investor, should you buy that investment? Should you just wholesale it? What should you do if you're a buyer, seller, investor, real estate professional, or if you're like a lender? I mean, because there's a lot of people that listen to us and they always ask us questions. So what are your thoughts on it? Being newer to the market, I have my opinion on it because I've been doing it a while, but you tell me, like, what are you seeing? What's your pulse on it? And we can,
Yeah, well,
discuss
I'll talk about. I showed a property yesterday in Rancho to a buyer, and the buyer's father asked me, what I predict happening with the market.
Everybody always asks that.
And
That's
yes,
funny.
he was like, "Do you think it's going to crash? Do you think this is going to happen X,
Uh-huh.
Y, and Z?" And I was like, "Well, at the end of the day, there's really no real way to read what's going to happen with the market, right? You can just adjust to its current timing.
Right.
But I think when we're talking about what you should do in today's market, if you're a buyer, a consumer, someone that's looking to purchase a house to live in, I think if you have the means to buy and you're able to do so, you should go buy a property. And if you're not able to, it's pretty clear you can't either afford the monthly payment. You good? We're good. Or you can't afford the down payment. And then the other side of that is if you are able to buy, go ahead and buy, because what always happens with real estate, if you're looking at it from like a 20-year window, it's always going to appreciate, right? Regardless of what the corrections are. So, I mean, talking to buyers that are consumers looking to buy, yes, interest rates are challenging right now. The payment's not the best. But if you're able to go buy a property.
Oh, for sure.
But also accept that you can't buy if you can't. That's another thing.
Yeah.
So I think there's two sides to it. But ideally, when it comes down to, I think, the professional side and the consumer side, it's just understanding where you are and what you're capable of. Because I think a lot of mix-up happens in what I could do today and what I want to do or what I could do versus what the reality is.
Yeah, because sorry, I went down the wrong pipe earlier. But to your point on if you should buy or not buy. And that's something that, in this business as, becoming that real estate guy, I would have to tell a lot of sellers, or I'm sorry, buyers, that they shouldn't buy if they can't afford it. Just because they want that that home ownership, that dream. So that dream could be delayed a little bit. But it's our job, our last podcast and our last conversation, it's our duty to inform the buyers if they can buy or not. If it's a good idea for them to do so. And if it is, great, but if it's not, then it's our job
To
as
tell
well
them.
to tell them, like, don't buy the damn house.
Yeah.
And that's a hard conversation because everybody's all about the commission.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that comes from a place of understanding that, yes, we want to earn commissions, but the goal in this business is to build those relationships, right? So when we have, what the heck? Now you like transferred it over to me.
You didn't even drink anything, bro. My shit went down the wrong pipe.
But yeah, going back to what I was saying, when I think you have those, tougher conversations with buyers and sellers,
Mhm.
what are you doing with that person? You're building a deeper connection, you're getting closer to them, you're building that relationship. And what you talk about all the time is every single lead turns
Yes.
into what?
Investment.
An investment. So I think that's a mindset thing
Uh-huh.
that people just have to accept, that if it's not a good idea for this person to buy or sell based off of my professional expertise, I need to tell them that. And at the end of the day, it's up to them to make a decision. Because I've had buyers that I've helped in this market purchase a home at 7.5% interest rate. And me personally, I told them I wouldn't do this. And that's my most honest advice. But yet they still wanted to move forward,
And buy the house.
buy the house, and close on the property. Did it change the result of anything? No. But I think due to allow that, like you said, it's our job to have their best interests, guide them, let them know what potentially could be right or wrong, even though there is really no right or wrongs and
Mm-mm.
how it could affect them. But I
Yeah,
agree.
and like it's I talk to my buddy Michael Zuber every Tuesday about the market, about what it's doing, and let's talk about our market here in our area in the high desert. I mean, we went from 700 houses available to 900 houses available now over the last, I would say, the last 2 months. But
Mm-hmm.
what's crazier is that the withdrawals have been like I want to say 5 times the amount this last week, because obviously they just increased the interest rate a little bit, and now we're sitting at a 7.5, 8% if you don't have good credit. And the amount of withdrawals that happened in the last couple of weeks, have been in the hundreds. That means sellers now are removing their house from the market because it doesn't make sense for them to sell, but it truly doesn't make sense for them to buy because they're not upgrading. They're literally like they're moving to another location. It's a lateral move with more money out of their pocket because of the payment. So it's like if that's happening, plus the people that are truly wanting to sell are now putting their house on the market that they need to sell, I should say, need. Our market value, our median home price hit $420,000 in our area, right? 423. This was last year, June. And then it dropped February of this year to like 370, 380. Guess where it's at now? It's a trip because all of the pent up demand is now like increasing the median home price. Median home price now is 420. And why do I talk about it? Is because as an investor, as a real estate professional, as a lender, you're more than likely going to sell the properties that are under that median home price because where's all the demand? I'm asking you, where's all the
Yeah,
demand?
under that
Under,
price.
right?
Hmm.
And if you focus on that number, guess what? You could weather your storm. This is why I always let people know that hey, if I'm going to go buy some property, my exit, my ARV after repaired value, for those that don't know, is under the median home price. Our last transaction that we just put on the market is at 419, and it's a flip under the median home price. Are we getting some activity? Yep. Do we have an offer yet? No. But the other properties that we have that are under 400K, there's a bunch of offers that are coming in. So, rule of thumb, if you are that investor that you want to get into that game, understand that if your exit, your ARV is under the median home price, you're going to be okay.
What I took away from that, even as an investor, wholesaler, or real estate agent, like let's just say you work in a big market like
Uh-huh.
LA, metropolitan market, get as closest to the median home price as possible, because, or I'm sorry, under it,
Yeah.
because that's where the most activity is going to happen. Ideally, right?
Ideally, yes. If you're focusing on the percentages
Yeah,
of
yeah.
people that are purchasing, yeah.
I'm talking about, of course, the aspect of doing more deals for people that are in the business, but I never thought of it that way. Oh,
Yeah,
makes
and
sense.
it's a trip. Like all of us need to know this, so our markets, we're hitting some rough waters coming soon because here comes quarter four.
Yep.
And what do I always say? We want to have that September to remember, which we talk about on our Mondays and Tuesdays on our meetings. But that September to remember is now. I mean, we only got a couple weeks before quarter four starts, so we got to get shit going. Otherwise, quarter one of next year is going to be like there's going to be crickets if you don't do something now through quarter four, regardless of the market.
Yep.
You know.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, we can go on and on about the market side of it, but if the market is challenging, you know what's going to get you through, as because I believe this business is psychological. Okay, it's very emotional. It's very it's psychologically driven because you've been doing it for 4 years. I've been doing it for 20 some,
3
over
years.
20, and it's like how many?
3.
3 years. All right. So you're going into your fourth,
Mhm.
but full time, I should say.
Yes.
Um,
Well, no,
there's
3.5 going into 4.5
okay,
full
fine.
time.
You want to be technical, that's fine.
Sorry.
But regardless, you've been through an emotional roller coaster in this business already.
Oh yeah.
Already. Imagine the person that's been in it for 10 years, 15 years, 20
20.
years. It's been a crazy ass roller coaster. It's like Colossus, bro, at Magic Mountain. The old school freaking, the wood roller coaster.
Yeah, I don't even
And
think they have that anymore.
exactly, I don't know why. I don't know why I brought that up. It's like the roller coaster, old school. Anyways, doesn't matter. But because it's such an emotional roller coaster, you have to have a support system. You have to have a proximity to people that are going to hold you accountable and and push you to become more. Because I read something, I heard something that if you surround yourself with people that are better than you, by default, you're going to increase your success. But if you hang around people that are not as successful as you and they're status quo, they're at par, you're more than likely going to backslide and not be more successful than you currently are now because you're not getting forced, you're not getting pushed, you're not increasing your commitments for your income to grow. So let's talk about what's really important about the proximity and the culture that we've been creating here when a year ago there was no one in this office except myself and Isaac, and maybe one other person that would come in, which was Reggie. And now it's like it's a vibe thing now. It's happening. And why?
Yeah.
And what did I say? Come into the office. We can create something by showing up. So elaborate a little bit more on that, on what you think, and how you feel that our office has changed
I mean,
and proximity in general. Just
yeah.
to
Well,
clarify.
proximity, I think, obviously is very, very important, and I I was always aware of that, but I never understood how much of a role it plays in your day to day life. And a
A
big
role
part
or a rule?
role,
Role.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And a big part of that was, of course, where you show up to work every single day.
Right.
And for the longest time, a good majority of my business, or first year of my business, I worked from home. Let's just say the second year, no, first year worked in the office, second year worked from home, third year, which was this past year, back in the office. And one thing that I've realized is it's much easier to not let your excuses win when you're around people that have a shared vision, a
Mhm.
similar goal, and like the same intention that you do. If for those of you that work at home, stop doing it. It's not doing you any good. Get inside the office, get around the right people. The idea of waking up in the morning, putting on your clothes to get ready to
Your
go to the
armor.
office, your armor,
Mm-hmm.
driving to the office, listening to your music, your podcast, getting in that zone, and then for the next 8 to 10 hours, however long you're in the office, you're in the trenches with the people you care about, you love, and you have similar values with.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that's done for me is just it's made me a better leader. I've
100%.
realized
Yeah.
because, of course, ever since we started Expand Real Estate Group. Of course, you started it, brought me on, and we decided
We
to
started. Yeah.
bring on more agents and mentor them. Uh, it started with just, of course, myself and you, and then
Literally, bro. Yeah.
yeah, and then of course we had access to all of the leads that come into our office. I brought on an individual named Alex Hernandez, then Nick Gaslam, then Lucero, then Nathan, Carlos.
Mhm.
We just onboarded, two new agents last week. And for me, I never really realized what we were building until it's like it was in front of me yesterday.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I was just like, whoa, this is cool because like everyone is here and they just simply want to be better.
That's it.
And when you want to be better, how are you supposed to listen to any of your excuses? You
You
know,
shouldn't.
exactly. So I think being around the right people, being in the right room, what it ultimately does for you without you realizing is a level of self accountability that gets instilled.
Mhm.
Because me, I want to be the hardest worker in the room. I don't want anyone to outperform me.
Never. That's exactly what we. That's what we tell ourselves all the time. You're the
Yeah.
same way. I am too.
Mm-hmm.
But then we need to go in different rooms, which we do, right, to level up our like accountability, our potential, our, um, you know what, the path that somebody else did or made. We can do it too. We just gotta follow, and not saying that we're followers, but we're also not dumb. Success leaves clues. So figure it out, mirror, model, match somebody else's success for your own with your own flavor. I mean, everybody in here is not going to be um, us,
Nope.
right? They're going to have their own path that they're going to pave. But guess what? We gave them the tools, we gave them the vehicle, they have the key. All they got to do is put it in gear and give it gas. We can't do that for them. But this is the perfect example of like why we spend the money, why I spend the money for learning and for bettering myself so then I can come back and convey the message just like you. I mean, you didn't even have money before you even started to, you wanted to
Mm-hmm.
learn. And what did you do? You borrowed money
Mm-hmm.
to go learn something, to be in a different room with people that are making $1 million a month. A
Yeah.
million dollars a month. It's like,
And
come on,
the
really?
average person, of course, I was in a position where wanted to be a part of a program that I could not afford. The average person instantly thinks like, "Oh, that just means I'm not ready to be in this yet if I can't
No.
afford it." And
Resourcefulness.
no, I need to be in that room and I have a means to go, to try to go be in that room. I just have to figure out a way to do it.
Right.
Like my idea was like I knew I belonged in that room and the dollar amount in my bank account or where I was in my life did not determine that. Because it's like the people that are on the other side, it goes back to not how but who.
Who? Uh-huh.
And I want to ask you because I mean, you've been in the business for like 20 years now, with, of course, building a brokerage, a wholesale company. You have a successful portfolio that performs. You've seen a lot of people come in and out, and not to go into more of like the ego aspect of it, because we know that is one. But for the ones that have stuck around and truly have been able to build, I guess you could say, a type of culture that, we're all happy with. What do you think is something that they've done that they're not aware of? For example, me. What do you think is something that I implemented the past year, the past 2 years that I'm just not aware of that I'm doing on a day to day basis, but it's compounding so much over time?
The consistency aspect of it, and this will rub people the wrong way because a lot of you that are going to listen to this are going to feel like I'm talking to you, and it's the truth. Don't think of yourself as making it yet, because none of us make it. We always continue to keep learning. That's one thing about you, that regardless of the difficult conversations that we've had, you've taken it in stride and you've implemented the parts that you need to move your needle forward along. Because if you don't move your needle forward, No one else is going to follow you. No one else. Because think about this. If I did not move my needle forward with things in situational, in the office, everything else, how are you going to want to even be around if I'm not moving the needle forward for everyone?
Yeah. No,
And
that's a really
that's
good point.
and that's something that you've done well at. And I think that everybody that's listening, you need to go figure out that you're not the fucking best girl, the best guy. You're not. You're really not. You have a lot of faults, but the faster that you realize that you can learn from someone else and remove that little chip on your shoulder aside and say, you know what? You're right. You're right. Because what you think, and I go back to this all the time, what you think is successful, somebody does that, in a month.
Yeah, 100%.
And if you always have that mindset of like, damn, I did well this year, but somebody became more to be able to do this every month. And I didn't say monetarily speaking, because the person that needs to become the person that makes something in a year, but they make it in a month, they're a whole different person. And the only way you get there, to be honest, at least my opinion, is you fucking cheat. And when I say cheat, and you guys are going to take it a certain way,
I know what
but
you mean.
the books you read is cheating, right? Because somebody did that. Somebody went through that for 12, 15 years, 30 years, and they wrote it in a book.
The rooms you get in is cheating.
Of course it is.
Eliminating the failure curve.
It is.
Yeah.
It's literally you're removing the curve in general.
Mm-hmm.
And it's strong to say that you're going to be cheating, but why not? You live life once. You might as well figure out how to get in those rooms, how to, take time for yourself, meditate, read. I mean, you read substantially. You're a lot more advanced than most 24-year-olds, and I'll say that. But not to stroke your ego at all, because you don't have one. You can't have one if you are on the path of growth. You can't.
Yeah, you can't. You gotta kill
Everybody that I've
kill
talked
your ego
to,
every day.
you have to. You have
And-
to suppress it, not kill it, because your confidence will come out when your conversations are happening
You're right.
to get the contract signed.
And I think that's something that I've done well is I generally think I take criticism the best. And I think that's something that people just need to get better at. Like you can tell me I did something wrong and I'll be like, you know what? You're right. That's where I went wrong. And this is why I went wrong. And this is how I can change it moving forward.
Oh, it's hard.
It's hard, but I generally believe I do that very well.
Do you know why? Because you're
Yeah.
starting right now. That's
What do you
why.
mean?
Because you're starting right now. Meaning you're starting so early on.
But what do you think allows me to do that? What do you think allows me to be like, yeah, I fucked up, but this is why? Like I have no
Self-accountability.
so you got to have no problem being accountable, guys.
Like that's the number one thing. If you ask me, I'll take criticism, but I fucking hate it. You know why? Because
it usually comes from people that have not done nearly as much as you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if somebody criticizes me based on their success, and they're substantially like, I'm on the phone with Pineda, he'll say whatever he needs to say, and I'm like, yup, it sucks. But guess what? I'm not in his position. So he has the right, and he has the, he's paved the way of like, okay, I need to pay attention. And that just goes for your mentors, your coaches, and stuff like that. But I'll be honest, I didn't have all of this so early on.
No,
So
yeah.
guess what created? I had it, and people could say that I have an ego now. No, but they don't know the difference between confidence
And cockiness.
and cockiness. Exactly. I take more notes. I take more notes at events that versus people that don't even have a quarter of the success.
Yeah, Alex Hormozy says confidence comes from having a stack of undeniable truth that you are who you say you are.
Yeah.
And I think you relate to that in the most ways. Like the reason you talk your shit is because you've done the shit.
And I probably shouldn't even talk this shit though.
But I think it comes from a place of not that I'm better than you or I've done more than you. of like, hey, this is what's worked for me. This is where my life is, and this is what I'm doing moving forward. Unfortunately, people just take it as you're talking shit because, we have strong personalities. We're very driven.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You know,
Yeah.
we want to go out and just hunt and dominate. So people take it the wrong way, but I don't think it comes off that way at all. It's
Yeah, well,
just,
I mean, and if I come off a certain way, guys, I'm sorry, but if I can get over it. To be
no,
honest,
you
that's
got to go.
just,
You
you got
need
to
to
go.
go do some self reflection because
Exactly.
if if what we're talking about on this podcast makes you feel some type of way, this
Go
was
work on
for you.
yourself. Exactly.
Like that's all I'm gonna say. We
This
don't
was for you.
we don't trigger that conscience inside of your head, and that goes for everything. When you hear something on a podcast, in a song, in a book, on a
Yeah.
radio show that triggers you emotionally, evaluate yourself.
That's big because a lot of us, I've been in rooms where it's like, fuck, this guy's talking to me.
Yeah.
This guy's talking to me. And all of us, you guys included, you guys are listening to it. Guarantee you guys been in a room where you guys feel like the person is talking directly to you because it's your own self-conviction on the things that you're going through.
100%.
And we all need it. I mean, straight up, we all need it. And, you know, with our proximity, with our culture, with what's been happening here at the office, um, it's good. I'm liking it. I see where growth is going to, continue to be,
It's a good
implemented
yeah,
in.
it's a good feeling when like you have a vision and you see a path for that vision
Mm-hmm.
because you're able to get almost like excited for it. I mean, I got licensed July of 2020. I went full time in 2020 of an October.
Damn, that's crazy.
So this
A few
year in
months after.
October, it'll be my 3 years full time finish going into year four.
Mm-hmm.
And just, I mean, reflecting on everything, it's one of those things where I've never really felt excited for fourth quarter and going into the new year in the aspect of like, wow, how much more uncomfortable can I get? I want to go get more uncomfortable with the amount of activity and commitments we're making to ourselves. And that's something that I never really experienced. I'll be honest, like the first 2 years in my real estate business, I felt like we're really lackadaisical and oblivious and me just basically learning and gaining all the scars. And then this past year, with everything that we were able to build, I think the vision definitely got a lot clear. So I'm extremely excited for my year 4 and year 5. Yeah.
It's going to
So
be big.
it's gonna be cool.
I'm more excited for quarter 4 and quarter 1.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
next
And
6 months
that
because
translates into that.
the next 6 months there's gonna be a lot of changes, and change is good, change is challenging. Yeah, it's gonna be really good. And to segue into our next topic, um, you know, I think everyone has their pathway to success, and some people choose to, um, you know, gratify themselves quicker. They choose to pat themselves on the back faster. And I think that a lot of us, and I think, with what Hermosi says too, like the guy's a beast and he's still very frugal, very, very frugal. And even going through his companies, and we're talking about $100 million guy, him and his lady, Layla, but just something about the conversation and about the book that books that he's written and stuff I've listened to, it makes me feel like what I did early on was exactly that. Is you delay your gratification for a long while until you feel like, okay, now it's time for me to splurge a little bit or do this or do that, or even not even splurge for yourself, but I think mainly you do it not for yourself, but you do it to show others that you do have the ability to buy something, or uh in essence showcase or brag a little bit, I guess you could say, based on your success.
Yeah, bragging
Let's talk
rights.
about that because I don't think I'm in the position if I did not have delayed gratification. My upbringing in this area, I think caused me not to go and be like the Joneses,
Yeah.
because I live in the high desert. All I wanted to do was work and represent buyers and sellers and take that money and go buy more investments and figure out ways to multiply your income or multiply your investments. And shit, man, we were just talking about this the other day, that I didn't have nice clothes and I still own like 15 houses. And I
Hmm.
know it's weird. I'm a fucking Mexican, you know? And I can say that because I am. So it doesn't matter. And it's like I worked hard and we had, what we had. I saw my dad work, and, he didn't really care about anybody else except him and his family. And that's all that got rubbed off on me. And it's like, it's cool, man. It's like vehicles. Let's talk about vehicles for a second. I ATM my house in 2005 or 6, right? And that's when I bought my first car, an Escalade. And it was used, bought it on eBay. Never saw it. Hit the buy it now button. Got delivered on Navajo and Highway 18 at that little shopping center. And I picked it up off of a 18-wheeler. Freaking dope, with the keys and everything. Crazy. Never even drove an Escalade. And that's how I did, because I ATM my house, and I already owned about 5 or 6 houses at the time. And um, it's a trip. That one car or that one Escalade, I'm like, okay, I'm going to drive this thing until it breaks down. Fast forward 10 years later, right, with 290,000 miles on an Escalade, all-wheel drive, one transmission, um, more houses I bought during that time. Could I have bought something else? For sure. Could I have splurged a little bit? Yes. But what I wanted to do is create an income from houses. And I didn't even know this going through this, guys. I really didn't. I wanted to have the passive income that everybody would talk about. And that wasn't even a lot of people talking about at the time. It was just like, how are millionaires made? Through real estate. How? With cash flow and appreciation. And renters paying your items. I hate to sound like that, but that's what it is.
Hmm.
And guess what? My proximity changed. Other people changed. Got to this company that told us to upgrade fucking everything. And what did I do? Started wearing nice shoes. Started wearing shirts with my initials on them. Fucking gay. And honestly, it's nice, at the time.
Please bleep that out.
But yeah, I can't say that stuff, right? That transgender, gay, or whatever the fuck you're going through. It's funny because it's the truth. I mean, that this explicit lyrics or whatever conversations we're talking about.
It's all right. They're just gonna hear beep.
Yeah, And by the way, it's either male or female. That's fucking it. Okay, straight up. No fucking flags. None of this bullshit. Anyways, off topic.
Yeah.
But at the same time, going through this whole process, it's like, you know what? I'm gonna do what I need to do. I bought a new freaking ride, a Porsche, 2018 Porsche Panamera, phenomenal car, and my first lease, right? And what's crazy? I had the most comments, likes, fucking shares on social media than I did when I bought some freaking houses, which does not make sense to me. But it is what it is. And when I talk to you about delayed gratification, in the very beginning, I told you to buy a fucking Mercedes when you bought your Honda.
Yes.
But guess what? Your Honda puts you, in a perspective like, nope, I'm good. I want an economical car to take me to point A to point B. But that's it, right? Now you want to upgrade this because you see this, you see that, you see what the person next door is looking at or what they have. But you got to remember, they're not in your position. They probably are fucking broke.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a nice ass car. I know too many people right now with nice ass rides with no doors.
No, yeah. There's a quote. I've seen a bum in a Benz, but I've also seen a boss in a Honda.
Would you rather be a boss in a Honda?
No, yeah, for sure. All right, let's address the elephant in the room.
Yeah,
Guys,
please.
I want a fucking Tesla, okay?
Great.
I want A Model S plaid Tesla.
Okay, now it's a plaid. Why? Initially, it wasn't a plaid until when?
It wasn't, because Omar was like, if you're gonna get a Model S, you're gonna get the plaid,
Yeah, got
and
to go
it's
out.
gonna be like an extra 80 to $100 on the payment. Which at that point, if you look at it, it's worth it. You are 100% right. You should delay your gratification. And do I need that Tesla?
No.
Absolutely no. Can I drive my car that I have now into the ground? Absolutely yes. But I think due to the fact that I recognize that,
Mhm.
and I still am willing to put myself in that situation
Yeah.
to not, of course, I'm gonna be 100% honest, make myself feel better, drive a badass ride
Yeah.
that, you know,
That you get
like who
into
does,
every single day.
that I get
Yeah.
into every single
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Like, who
Yeah.
doesn't want that feeling? But something that I've just, like, I don't know, placed myself in a lot is ever since I've moved into like my own house this past year. It's been a year that I've been living in a home. I live in like a 3,000 square foot home by myself with two dogs.
It's perfect.
That's made me a completely different person
Uh huh.
than who I was a year ago. And I know it's just a car, materialistic, there's a dollar amount on it, but at the end of the day, there is some things that I like that are materialistic items, and
Yeah.
I 100% own it. So my idea was I was going to pay off my Honda,
Okay.
get a Bronco,
Okay.
but then I see all these terrible crash tests on the Bronco.
Yeah, that I
And I'm
forwarded
like,
you.
okay, I'm not getting that Bronco at all anymore. But you know what? I've honestly really been wanting a Tesla for a couple of months. And why don't I just trade my current car in,
Okay.
increase my payment by a couple of $100, but have one badass ride
That you enjoy.
that I enjoy the crap out of, and it just, I don't know, it elevates me into a different person. And now I do the numbers. My current Honda payment, it's around $550 with gas and insurance, comes out to around $1,300 a month. For an extra $200, I can drive a Model S plaid Tesla.
$1,500 a month.
Total
Yeah.
for the car and the insurance. And I don't have any other debt. Of course, I have a mortgage that I pay for, which, that's not considered debt. That's living expenses. But I don't go out every single weekend. I'm not buying jewelry. I don't get like bottle service.
Buying J's though. Fucking every other
We buy
freaking
J's,
day.
but like
All the
at the end of the
time.
day, I think there's certain things that you have to be okay with dabbling in. And as long as you 100% own that you are doing it. And I am
I respect that.
100%, I think, aware of the position I am. And I know it is possibly something that can hurt my success or hurt the amount of time it takes me to buy a door. But it can also
Elevate you.
completely turn everything around where I told you, like next year, I will buy my first rental or we will buy a property together. So, yes, I want to buy a Tesla Model S and I'm going to get it by December. That's a commitment.
By December, you guys heard it.
Yes.
By December 2023, you're gonna buy a Tesla.
Yes.
That's
A Model
badass.
S plaid. You guys are hearing it first.
Damn, and that's a big. That's a big
No,
accomplishment.
that's like a $90,000 car. Don't get me wrong. Like it's from the outside looking in, it's stupid as fuck. Like I wouldn't recommend anyone to do it. But it comes back to like just
But we're in
knowing.
sales.
It goes back to like knowing who you are.
Uh-huh.
I will go make 90K in the first quarter of next year. That's no problem.
See that there. I mean, you gotta increase your commitments for your income to grow. That is the quote that's above my door that I've been preaching before you even came on. I would tell my brother when it was just him and I when we had when we started the company, and it was cool. It's like, hey man, we got to always increase our commitments for our income to grow.
That quote changed the way I live my life. 100%.
Yeah.
It's like, before it's like you do everything on payments and like you make sure you could pay this, you could pay this. And now it's like, oh, go close another deal and I could go afford that.
That's literally how we break down everything.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I went to an extreme myself too because it's above the door and it's like, yeah, increase everything, for my income to grow. But fuck, sometimes you increase everything, your income does not grow, people. Your shit does not grow because you have more expenses. So be careful when you go do this stuff because honestly, if you don't have the doors, the cash flow to sustain an increase of commitments,
100%.
it's a little more challenging.
Yeah, you'll throw yourself under the water. So I think a great like cherry on top is 100% delay your gratification. But if you are going to dabble in some gratification, Just be
fucking go
aware.
all out.
Just be aware of it. Go all out and like understand who you are as a person.
Yeah.
Like, don't do it because other people.
Right.
Do it because you want to.
It's going to move the needle forward for you. So you can get the J's, you can get the Rollies, you can get the Teslas, you can get the Caddies, because my Caddy's coming here in a little while. So increasing my commitment. More of the family
We're all
car,
gonna have
but
badass rides, man. It's okay.
It's going to be cool. That and, I still want that Urus, and I can't figure out the reason why I don't want to
Because we
buy
live in the
it
high
right now.
desert.
And we live in the high desert. I don't want to drive around a Urus up here. That's just not
Yeah.
going to work out well. But nonetheless, it's like if you're going to increase your commitment, make sure you can afford it. Make sure that you have the ability to increase your income to be able to afford that commitment.
Yeah, if you're locked in at a certain salary at a 9 to 5, don't go increase your car payment a couple $100.
No,
If your income stays the same.
but if you work for yourself and your outcome is based on how many people you talk to, et cetera, or how many better conversations that we have, then at that point, your success is based on you. And that's where we're at.
Yep.
I mean, and
Be true to
nonetheless,
That's all. Be
that-
true to you.
that's good. Be true to you. Figure out ways to increase your commitments. Smart though. And yeah, so delay your gratification if you choose to. I chose to. Sometimes it works, but sometimes go get that damn car, go get the watch, go get the shoes, go get the outfit. Because guess what it does? It creates your confidence as well. And sometimes you might need a little push to create that confidence to go create more income. So
Yep. This was a good episode. I
great
liked it.
episode,
This was fun.
guys. Thank you very much for joining us. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and keep watching us. We're going to have new guests as well, other business owners. That is our goal, because even though it says keep it or flip it, sometimes people keep the business or they flip the business. Sometimes they keep the house or they flip the house. Sometimes they keep the car or they flip the car. So there's a lot of things you can go, or you can actually go through this process. And we're going to be talking to other business owners and, seeing
Expanding
if we can
your
all
mind, because it's the Expand podcast.
Expand
That's what we're here to do.
podcast. That's exactly why we're here. So hopefully expanded your mind on this episode and on the way you think. So guys, until our next one, we'll see you guys soon.
Take care. Come here.
Peace.